Story now. Former President of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, is advocating more conscious effort to improve the electoral process in addition to the deployment of technology. He was speaking at a reflection conference on democratic elections in West Africa as key players gathered to review elections held in 2024. Senior reporter Habib Lawal has details.
Elections in the region have highlighted the ongoing struggle for democratic governance amid political instability, economic challenges and security threats. Electoral stakeholders at this event says this underscores the fragility of democratic institutions in the face of rising authoritarianism and instability. With a combination of former President Goodluck Jonathan and former INEC Chairman Attairu Jega, they attempt to suggest different ways and means of improving electoral integrity.
When Jega was there, he introduced the car reader. But during the election, the car reader rejected me and almost set the country ablaze. Now, this dispensation we migrated above the car reader, which is expected to the beavers, which is supposed to be a little more advanced than the car reader. But the problems are more than even when we use the car reader. So while we are progressing in terms of adopting technologies, the outcome is retrogressive.
From my experience in Nigeria, a lot of it has to do with the desperation, the self-serving pursuit of politicians, and the recklessness with which they want to win elections by hook or by crook. All this, of course, come to bear in terms of the extent to which an electoral commission is able to do its job professionally and competently, and in the end, it is the electoral commission that takes the blame.
As the country reflects on the last election season in ECOWAS and its implication for sustenance of democracy, electoral partners here say it must consider some pragmatic measures required to have better elections in the future.
The region, West Africa, has made significant democratic progress with peaceful transitions, improved electoral management, and greater citizen participation. Recent trends have also brought new challenges that require collective attention.
The 2023-2024 elections in West Africa have provided important lessons for the region. While there are reasons to celebrate, there's also a pressing need to address the challenges that threaten the credibility and sustainability of democratic elections. The event promises to be a safe space for sharing of knowledge, profiling solutions, and thinking forward for a successful electoral reform. Habib Lawal, TVC News, Abuja.
Director General, Center for Credible Leadership and Citizens Awareness, Dr. Wamba Gabriel, joins me now for more on the discussion. Dr. Gabriel, good to have you join us on TVC News at 1. First, let me get your thoughts about the statement of former President.
Thanks for having me. Good afternoon.
All right, let me get your thought about former President Goodluck Jonathan's statement that deployment of technology for elections without the willingness to do the right thing will take us nowhere. Do you share the same sentiments?
Yeah, thanks for having me. You see, with the insights, from former President Goodluck Jonathan, he shone a spotlight, on the continent. The interplay between technological advancement and the integrity of electoral processes. You see, technology can enhance electoral systems, but the effectiveness of these tools is inherently tied to the commitment of stakeholders to uphold democratic values. You see, there are two very serious issues here: the integrity of the electoral process, and then the technology. Technology on its own cannot just bring credibility to the system. You can have all the technology in the world, and once the willingness is not there, once the desire, the determination by the stakeholders to do the right thing, once it is not there, it becomes a charade. It becomes an effort in futility. So I hold strongly to the thoughts of the former president, because Nigerian has seen it all. Technology is not just the issue. but the integrity of the electoral process and the willingness of the stakeholders, involved in the electoral process to do the thing is what brings the system to bear.
I hear you, Dr. Gabriel, but there are growing calls for Nigeria, for instance, to adopt electronic voting. Does this then imply that Nigeria is not ripe for it?
Yeah, you see, first of all, there are successes, that can be attributed to it. Nigeria is ripe for it, but we first of all have to educate the thoughts, the mindset of our people. You see, one of the major advantages we had during the 2023 general election is that we had an increased voter participation. In 2023, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, about 30 million extra, voters participated in the electoral process, and that is a very significant one. It also happened in South Africa, But the issue is that we must give our people orientation. We must make our people to accept the system, to show some level of commitment that a new Nigeria is possible. The electoral integrity is where the question it calls to bear here. The electoral management body, needs to go above board to do the right thing, because if we do not do the right thing, increasingly there will be a lot of Nigerians who will lose confidence in the electoral process. And what would that lead to? It will lead to a growing voter apathy, in our electoral.
In the electoral system, all right. Talking about doing the right thing, we have some elections fast approaching. The Anambra state election, the off-cycle election is coming, and of course all eyes are on the 2027 general election. What lessons must we pick from previous polls going into this election to achieve, what we can call, in the words of the former president now, is a credible election?
Yeah, thank you so much. You see, now for me, we already have very good laws already, as enshrined in the Constitution 1999 as amended. The Electoral Act 2022, has also fortified the electoral system very well. Nobody foresaw that probably the accreditation, the biometric accreditation of electorate during the 2023 election presidential election might be issues. Nobody foresaw that. The Electoral Management Board assured and reassured Nigerians that everything will be okay. But we see we had better performance in the governorship and state assembly elections than in the presidential election. In the governorship and state assembly, the beavers worked effectively. The central server, the uploading of the use of the beavers technology was optimal. But in the presidential election, we had significant issues. Now, what do we do? Nigeria is ripe for it. It's just attitudinal change for our people to do the right thing. It takes, the mind of, it's a collective responsibility of all stakeholders to determine to do the right thing. And I bet you Nigeria is a great nation.
Dr. Nwamba Gabriel is Director General, Center for Credible Leadership and Citizens Awareness. Thank you so much for your time on TVC News at 1.
Thanks for having me. Good afternoon.